This video is about news burnout and how to protect your mental health. The news seems to be constantly in our faces. It's so accessible with just a few taps on a smartphone. Information is accessible from anywhere in the world. So after watching the news a few years ago, I shouted, swore at the television, and burst into tears. And I haven't watched the news since, or read it, or listened on the radio either. Yes, it is possible to avoid the news. I have done it for the last 4 years, and I feel so much better because of it. I think we all know that only bad news sells, and on some level it makes us feel better about ourselves, because we think we're not affected by the bad news. Well, in that moment, anyway. So while staying informed is important, watching too much news can wreak havoc on our nervous systems. The news sometimes seems to be deliberately designed to trigger us, to trigger outrage, anger, hatred, and fear. It certainly triggered me to tears and anger. As a child, I remember my parents receiving telegrams. Sometimes it was for a significant birthday, and sometimes it was about someone's death. So the bad communication was randomly sporadic at best. Our nervous systems cope well with occasional stresses, rather than a continuous stream of negative information. While regular exposure to distressing news can lead to reduced sensitivity, suffering, and a lack of empathy to what's going on around us. We just become numb to what's going on. Our autonomic nervous system controls our involuntary bodily functions and is made up of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems. The sympathetic nervous system is responsible for fight, flight, or freeze response, which kicks in when we have to run away from an attack, real or perceived. And the parasympathetic nervous system is where we should aim to spend the majority of our time. This is where we rest, digest, and heal. When something stresses us out, our sympathetic nervous system is activated, releasing adrenaline and cortisol, which is what we must have if we need to escape from a threat. However, if we get stuck in this response, it can lead to heightened anxiety, stress, a weakened immune system, sleep issues, and other health issues. It can also lead to a distorted perception of reality, that the world is a dangerous and hostile place, creating feelings of hopelessness, disconnection from ourselves, and we can feel powerless to change anything in our chaotic world. Also, we as humans have a natural negativity bias, making us more attentive to negative information. Our ancestors did have to watch out for lions, snakes, and tigers about to attack. And that is still deeply ingrained in us, even though there are no lions, snakes, or tigers around every corner. This negative bias, combined with a desire to manage fear and anxiety by staying informed, can lead us to actively looking out for distressing news. And then we have confirmation bias, which reinforces existing beliefs, prompting us to consume news that aligns with our fears or views, and so creating a self-perpetuating cycle of craving negative news. So, as I found out from my reaction to watching and absorbing the news, our nervous systems react the same way to bad news on the other side of the world as it does as if it were happening directly to us. Our nervous system can't tell the difference, so it triggers the stress response to protect us. And while staying informed is important, protecting our mental health and nervous system from the adverse effects of excessive news consumption is much more important. So here are some strategies to help achieve a healthier balance. Firstly, switch channels on the TV when the news comes on, particularly late at night. If there is something that's that important, you'll get to hear about it one way or another. Also, avoid checking the news first thing in the morning. We're not designed to deal with threats as soon as we wake up. I have found that you can't avoid news completely because family and friends will be talking about it. And that's how you'll get to hear what you need to hear. And it's a good idea to turn off news alerts on your phone. Every time your phone pings with a new alert, your stress response is probably being triggered, which may be keeping you on high alert. And it goes without saying, please do limit social media consumption. We can become addicted to negative news due to the body's neurochemical responses. If we aren't getting a dose of dopamine from the anticipation of likes we get from our posts, then we're getting a dose of adrenaline from the stress caused by bad news. And believe it or not, these chemical reactions can be addictive. There are lots of positive posts on social media. I love animal ones. Wherever and whatever they are, it's good to find a positive focus on social media. And research says that watching videos of anything in nature is good for our nervous systems. And this can help balance the negative bias of mainstream news and provide a more accurate picture of the world. Another antidote to being consumed by media reports is to stay physically active. It's a powerful way to reduce stress and improve overall mental health. Exercise releases endorphins, which can help counteract the adverse effects of stress hormones. So, however you get your news, from the mainstream media or from social media, I find it's good to take a step back from it all and realize that nothing is as it seems. We will never know the full picture, and it's good to be okay with that. The only person we are in control of is ourselves and our response to what's going on in the world. That's what's really important. It's our response. We can become more and more resilient the more we take charge of our habits and find a balanced way of staying informed without sacrificing our mental health and quality of life. I give myself a New Year's gift of unsubscribing from lots of stuff, keeping my personal engagement with the social media world to a minimum, and it feels so good. It's like having a good decluttering session. So if you have enjoyed this, please remember to like, comment and subscribe.